Well, if hello, order.
Come on, gentlemen.
Evening, everybody. I hope everybody had a good summer of what it was. And now back to work. Welcome to tonight's meeting of the Audit and Governance Committee. Members and officers, please remember to switch microphones on and speak directly into the microphones and switch off again after speaking. Can everybody please make sure they've got their phone on silent or mute? Reporting officers using Teams, please switch cameras on and use the hand up icon to indicate questions and comments. The chair, myself, will invite you to speak. The meeting this evening will be live streamed to the public. I have checked to ensure it's working because we had a hitch last time. And a recording of the meeting will be available on the council's website within 24 hours of the meeting, subject to IT working. Any exempt private items on the agenda, the live stream will cease prior to the meeting moving into public. There might be a short delay. Are there, Officer Matt, are there any apologies for absence?
None that I'm aware of, Chair, other than the external auditors have given their apologies for tonight's meeting.
Okay, thank you. Before us, we have the minutes of the 20th of July. If we can go through each page for accuracy. Right, there is page 5 on the agenda of the minutes. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9. Page 10. Page 11. Page 12. Page 13. And page 14. Right, for those that were in attendance, do we agree that there are fair and accurate record of the matters that took place on the night? Agreed? Thank you. I've now got outstanding matters. On page 14, there are some stuff that needs to be resolved. So the first one is that the Director, Finance and Revenues and Benefit as Section 151 officer be requested to provide committee members a briefing paper on the local government ministers' proposed reset and changes of the local authorities audit process. Have you received anything from the government on that one?
This is being finalized. So last time when I've mentioned to the audit committee, the dates were sort of indicative. So once we've got the final, because it will have to go through legislation and through House of Parliament, once I've got those firm dates, and I'll bring firm papers. So at this stage, what I've discussed last time was just guidance, but I don't expect those dates to change. But once we've agreed they are going and discussing the external auditors, then I'll bring that paper to say, here's the firm date, which has been enacted as well.
In regard to your response, should we keep this on the agenda and pick it up in October?
Yes, Chair.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I would say probably November will be when government will.
Say that again, sorry?
Probably by November, government will try to enact and then bring to Parliament and then get it.
Right then, thank you.
But if I hear anything new, if the dates are going to change, then I'll bring it as and when I'm receiving those information.
Okay, thanks. I hope everybody's okay. Is everybody okay? Right, the second one is that the Director, Finance, Revenue and Benefits and the external auditor be requested to work together, ensure that the 18-19 audit statement was ready to sign off by the committee at its additional meeting on the 11th of October. On a couple of paragraphs above, there is the bit about Section 155, one officer and the external agreed to work over the following 6 weeks to deliver, and 6 weeks ends today, Dev. So how are you and the external auditor getting on with that?
So last time when I've mentioned to the audit committee, we've submitted everything. So the reason I've said last time, because of holidays and because of auditors were working on NHS audit, but so far we're on target. I haven't heard anything from the auditors to the contrary. So, and the auditors are aware that we've set up a meeting on the 11th of October because we met with myself, chief exec, and the EY partner. So they know that meeting for the 11th of October has been set specifically to sign the account. So far, I haven't heard anything to the contrary. So the information I have provided, and I've also asked auditors if there's anything else we need from us. But as far as we are concerned, probably it's just they're going through the internal process and get it cleared. And yeah, it's the plan was by end of September they should produce, and then we'll bring it to 11th of October. So if there's anything which if I hear from auditors to the contrary, if there is any other issue, then I will make sure Chair will have a discussion.
So for clarity and summary, the external auditor, because we're here at the last meeting, knows of the date. You've had a meeting with them. They know what's required, and that nothing new has been brought to your attention in writing to say why this date cannot be met. Is that a
yes, Chair.
Summary?
Yes, Chair.
And the last bit was that the democracy manager be requested to arrange an additional meeting of audit and governance at 6 p.m. on the 11th of October, and that has already gone out into everybody. Okay, thank you. I believe that's it. Right, so we'll now go to agenda item 3, disclosures of interest. Are there any disclosures of interest? Right, section 106. Are there any matters there?
On that, I'm aware of, Chair.
Right, are there any urgent business?
None, Chair.
Thank you. Right, we're now on to section item 6, reference from scrutiny and finance review group. So before us, we have the paper on page 15, where the finance review is recommended that audit and governance committee be requested to issue a statement to the council on the council's current status on the signed off accounts. Having read the papers, I am making the recommendation that we do not need to make any more public statements because everything has been held in public. We've had all the audit meetings have been public meetings. The press have been in attendance for most of them. Things have been reported in the newspaper in Luton News. So we've been fully transparent with our residents as to what is going on. So that's my position as chair. I don't know how my colleagues feel, if you feel differently, but I believe that we've been, and the evidence is before us, because even the papers that is before us is on the council's website. So I do not believe professionally that we need to do anything more. But if my colleagues feels otherwise, let's have that discussion. Thank you.
Is anybody from the overview and scrutiny board here at all to make presentation, or FRD or any member of that to say what the hell they want that for?
So I didn't hear you. Are you asking?
I'm saying that they are asking that the request to issue a statement on the account, current status on sign off of the accounts. I mean, this matter has been looked for by the FRD and the audit and all that. We had a discussion in here. So what is it that they want that to go to the council? I'm not quite sure.
I can't say because I don't sit on FRG, but I think Matt wants to add to that.
Thank you, Chair. At the previous meeting of Finance Review Group, our Section 151 officer gave an update on the current state of the sign-off for the 2018-19 accounts. Councillor Wynne proposed that a reference be put forward to Audit and Governance Committee in regards to reassuring members of public, because he was under the impression that, or felt that members of public were getting misinformation. Dev at the meeting did reassure him that everything, as the chair has said, everything is in the public domain, but the committee did wish to express their concern to Audit and Governance and to propose that Audit and Governance issue a statement to the public on the current state of affairs of the sign off the accounts.
But to understand that has already been done, has it not?
Deb, I think it's beauty coming in.
Yeah, I think, Chair, I agree, is over the last probably 18 months, we have been discussing both FRG and Audit Committee, and everything has been discussed. It has been on the council website. The external auditors have been present and they've presented. So I think everything is already there. It's already in the public domain. It's already open, transparent, and absolutely is clear. I think just FRG felt that the Audit Committee just reaffirm what we have been discussing. It's just reaffirming. So to say that's where we are. Quite right now, if you've asked a question, we've already done what we have to do. So you're already reaffirming what we have been saying, that since last Audit Committee, as a council, we've done everything, and we are just waiting for the auditors to sign off the audit report. The content of that audit report we will discuss as well. So what are the areas, how the audit report from the auditors will look like. So everything has been already discussed, and today we've discussed it again. You've asked me where we are. I've said that. I think the FRG felt that if we just make a statement from Audit Committee reaffirming what we've just discussed, that's what was the request there. It's a bit Audit Committee saying head the position and everything. So just restating what we've already said. So that was FRG's view when they made those recommendations.
Yeah, but the reason I'm saying that, because we had a very long debate why the council had not signed that. I remember they were trying to put some amendments to it, but on the FRD as well as the council, the Audit and Governance. So I'm not too sure what is the point of it saying it time and time, because auditors at this present haven't, we're making a progress, but we haven't had those accounts not signed off as yet. So I'm not too sure what we are going to issue a statement on. That's what's confusing me. So unless somebody could wisen me up.
Mr. Jaberia Hussain.
Thank you, Chair. I'm also slightly miffed, confused as to what it is that we're being asked to confirm a statement on. Are we being asked to provide a statement on where we are in the status quo and what actions are being taken, what steps? I mean, what would have been helpful, but obviously, please do advise on protocol, etc. If the colleague from FRG, who obviously put forward a motion with regards to the concerns, was here, to actually provide us with some background information or what the particular concerns are, so we could obviously discuss it and come to a decision. But in the absence of that, I'm just slightly a bit confused, unless the monitoring officer can elaborate, expand.
If I can just, summarize. When the discussion started at FRG, clearly there was some clarification. So FRG was looking at the papers, and the papers were saying council has not signed the account. There was a lot of things in the papers. So I gave reassurance to the members, and I said we have been discussing, everything is there, everything is open, everything transparent. And I also gave the reassurance to the members, both Audit Committee and FRG, that we've done everything now, and it's just we are. So I think the angle FRG was coming from is, yes, we've done a lot of progress. We've cleared everything from our side. So as a council, we've done really well in terms of clearing everything. And the position I made it clear is the council accounts, LBC accounts are not being qualified. So it's when we look at the group accounts, and we went in detail, so I explained it again. So I think there was an acknowledgement of FRG that a bit like what the papers were reporting was not giving the full picture of where we are. So there was a bit from FRG to say, if you put a statement to say, from the council point of view, we've done everything and we are just waiting for the auditors to sign off the accounts, and our financial position is not being affected by the accounts being delayed because the LBC account is not qualified and it won't have an impact on our, because there was some question about whether it will have impact on our borrowing. So we said, no, it won't, because the council account is not qualified. So it was more to say, give that reassurance, to say the council account is not being qualified because the group, and that as well is an element where we said the other auditors from LAL, they are of the same opinion as we are, and our advisors same. So it's just to clarify that, to say where we are, so that in terms of the residents of Luton, they understand that the council financial affairs are correct. It's not that it will have any impact. So that was a bit the thinking of FRG, after me giving the reassurance to reassure them, and they said, yeah, we appreciate that. It's not sometimes the papers were reporting, and I think public finance was reporting something, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Thank you, Dev. Councillor Chavera Hussain.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for that clarification. I think that makes it a lot clearer.
Okay, so from our discussion, I don't know if Councillor Farouk wanted to add anything. I think where we are, we note the report.
Yeah.
And because we've had the minutes of the meetings are in the public domain, so everybody who's got any concerns in the public can always access the council's minutes to see how the discussions have been held and how we have challenge our auditors to finalise the account, and they've given us a reassurance. And as our Section 151 officer has said, the meeting for the 11th of October is on the agenda. They know that's when we're looking for the papers to come, for us to close off the accounts, for them to, and we move on. So yeah, thank you. So for the minutes, the report is noted. Yeah, are we all in agreement?
Yeah.
Thank you, colleagues. We now move on to the next item on the agenda, and it's item 7, internal audit plan update. You're not too late in the meeting. Others. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. This report provides an update on the work undertaken by the internal audit team for Q1 for this financial year. The recommendation for the committee is to receive the internal audit plan update report. As the committee is aware, the annual audit plan is risk-based and prepared in consultation with management. It's approved by CLMT and this committee. The plan for 23-24 has been set at 1,380 days and is intended to be indicative of the work that will be done during the year. It also assumes that there will be a full complement of staff available within the team to be able to deliver this plan. As at Q1, 18% of the plan has been completed so far. We are currently below target to complete at least 90% of the plan by the year end, and this is mainly due to our senior auditor vacancy within the internal audit team and a member of the team currently on maternity leave. In relation to the vacancy, I'm pleased to say that a conditional offer has been made and we've agreed a start date with our senior auditor, who will be starting end of September. We also have a framework agreement in place with Mazars for the provision of internal audit services as required. Discussions have taken place with Mazars for the provision of resources to make up some of the shortfall of the plan by year end. At this point in time, I expect approximately 40% of the plan to be completed by Q2, but with the addition of a new member of staff and the planned work by Mazars, we are still aiming to achieve at least 90% of the audit plan by the end of the financial year. At the time of writing this report, we had issued 10 final audit reports and certified 2 grant claims to confirm that the terms and conditions of the grant were met. Of these, 1 limited assurance opinion was issued in relation to the bank reconciliation follow-up review. An update on the findings for this audit were discussed at the last committee meeting in July, and details are also contained within this report. A further follow-up review is planned for September, and the committee will be provided a further update on the completion of the September review. I'm happy to take any questions on the report, Chair.
My colleagues got any questions on the report before you? No? But so I've just got one. Oh, sorry, Councillor Javeria Hussain.
Sorry, Chair, just a quick just clarification. Where are we in terms of resourcing? Are we with that new addition position that's been filled? Are we fully resourced or is there still vacancies?
So with this vacancy completed, we are fully resourced, but we do have one member of staff currently on maternity leave who will not be back till the next financial year. And this is where we're utilising Mazars to pick up some of the shortfall in the second half of the year. Thank you.
Thank you. I had a question in the minutes of the last meeting with regards to paragraph 14 with regards to the reconciliation. I made a comment with regards to IT and the contract, looking back at the notes. Has any conversations been had with the IT providers with regards to that? Because it's still, somebody has to do the reconciliation. If so that's my question, because I'm thinking it should be part of your contract performance. And then the second part was paragraph 16. It's in the notes of the meeting of the previous minute on page 8. Is there an update in regards to paragraph 16? There may not have been because of the holidays. I just wondered on that one. My concern was that we had an update in July and summer, and it's back here again. I'm wondering, has anything realistically changed? And if not, just to be honest with us and tell us, and then we can pick it up. Not, I wouldn't say necessarily the October meeting, but that, you know, that conversations have been had. I don't see the point of reporting things and nothing's moving, if that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm probably going to hand over to Dev because that's his area in relation to that. So hopefully Dev will be able to provide an update on that recommendation. Thank you.
Yeah, so in terms of the progress, we've made good progress. It has been a bit delayed because we are doing the closure of accounts. And I've asked the team to just make a list of what are the things we've resolved quite a lot of things over the last when the system was implemented, but there's a few things which absolute practice needs. So I've asked the team and I'm meeting with them next week. I said, what are the things and bring the evidence, and then we'll contact the absolute practice. So let's okay, these are the few things left for them to sort out in terms of the system. But we'll bring a report. We'll keep this on our outstanding list to bring a report, Chair.
Okay, so on that note, could we have it as an item resolved that is put in the minute so that we get an update? Is that okay, Matt? Yeah. So just to make sure that we don't lose it. Thank you. But thank you very much, colleagues. We're now moving on to the next item, and that's agenda and item 8, corporate risks update report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. This particular report provides an update on the authority's corporate risks and the risk management work being undertaken. The recommendation for the committee is to review the updated corporate risk register. As the committee is aware, the council has a risk management strategy which provides a framework to ensure that risks and opportunities are managed effectively. All risks are recorded on the council's risk management system and are assigned to risk owners for review and monitoring. The system issues automatic reminders for risk owners to update their risks and control measures when they become due for review. There is also an e-learning training available to risk owners, and training is also delivered corporately to officers and members. In relation to members, there is a risk workshop which will be delivered by SIPFA in September, so that's scheduled to take place. All corporate risks are reported to the Internal Governance Group, Corporate Leadership Management Team and Audit and Governance Committee for review on a quarterly basis. The Council currently uses a 4x4 risk assessment matrix to assess both the likelihood of a risk occurring and the impact on the Council in the event that it did occur. The criteria used to assess the risks and the different strategies that can be used to manage risk are detailed in paragraph 8 to 9 of the report. There are currently 39 risks on the corporate risk register, and since the last update, the direction of travel for each risk has remained the same. The heat map at paragraph 11 provides an overview of the Council's risk landscape, and it shows that the greatest number of risks are currently assessed by risk owners as medium high priority, and there are currently 4 high priority risks. Details of the 4 high priority risks and an update on the control measures in place to manage these risks are provided in paragraph 12 of the report, and these mainly relate to failure to keep to an approved budget, recruitment and retention issues. There's also risks to do with the current demand profile, poverty in Luton, which results in an overspend on the agreed budget, and this is in relation to temporary accommodation, and failure to improve the decline in look of the town centre. I'm happy to take any questions on that report, Chair.
Has my colleagues got any questions on the report? Councillor Mahmood Hussain.
Yeah, can I ask you in terms of risk, the universal credit and be that made in the housing homeless one, those are the serious concerns that we have, because that is likely to increase in the next 6 months because of the economic situation, cost of living, but B, because there's more people becoming homeless. Have we got enough sufficient resources to be able to deal with that?
This is absolutely right, and the economic situation, we are all hoping that cost of living start to come down, interest rates start to come down, and in the meantime, you're absolutely right. Is we are looking at those areas, temporary accommodation being one of them. So there's a report coming to executive, the next executive, about our first quarter, the performance for this year, and this an area is it under a lot of pressure. So we are meeting as a team as well, and the report will come to executive. There's clear recommendations for officers to look at those areas and try to see, okay, what else can be done to manage and control those expenditure. But the risk is there, and there is probably, when we issued that report, it's probably still there, and we will be coming with a recovery plan, which will be sort of in October. So that will be discussed at the executive in the next meeting.
I think that the whole thing is in terms of, we can, as you've reminded us many a time before, that we can only go into resolve once. And once that is gone, there is no other secret reserve, but we thought that we can all of a sudden dig into it and get things sorted. So I think that early warning sign to the members needs to be done so that we know what we really can afford and what we can't afford. Because a lot number of local authorities that have not taken those warnings early enough and just ignoring it years in and months in, when it's not being completely bankrupt, not very far from us.
Absolute, Chair, valid point, and that's, you will see in the report, which is already on the council website now. So all these valid points has been included in that report. So absolutely right, we have to be very mindful how we use reserve, because once it's gone, it's gone. You can't use it. So all valid points, and it's covered in the executive report, and we'll have quite a detailed discussion at the executive, and the officers are already meeting to discuss how we are going to recover some of those budget gaps. Thank you.
More questions? Yeah, Councillor Chavira Hussain.
Thank you, Chair. With regards to the actual register, the arrows for the direction of travel, sorry, but I'm actually finding it a bit confusing because you've got a double arrow. So, I mean, either it's going up, the risk, since the last time we visited it, was either going down. I mean, a double arrow just doesn't mean anything. So either you have an arrow, but that's actually clear, or, you know, just basically if you're using a point scoring system or whatever it is, you know, up 3%, up 2 points or whatever it is, because then it just makes it a bit more, I don't know, it makes it, well, makes it a bit more easier to understand as to what it is, what the risk score has been since the last time we visited it. That's the first thing. And then the other point was that obviously this is the corporate risk register. I think what we also should do for the purpose of completeness is to also have, obviously the council owns various businesses, companies. I mean, I think they should probably be on here as well, because there could be a likelihood, for example, in an extreme situation, that one of the council's businesses fails, or one of the council's own companies, which hold various, you know, assets of significant value, fail for whatever reason. Then what impact that would have on the council, because it would have an impact. So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I just make a suggestion for the next report? Those areas that's come up with high, given my colleague's question, it would be good to have some qualitative discuss what's going on, because for each of the high bits, I've asked what is the mitigation. Yeah, so, and as this is a public meeting, we need to be telling the taxpayer and our residents on these high risks, we flagged them, but what are the steps officers have taken with the portfolio holders for those areas to reduce the risk? Flagging them is one step. People need to know what is the mitigation. So for me, all 4 areas I've asked, what is the mitigation that we've taken? Because that's where our role comes in as audit and governance. We need to be reassured of the process that are in place within the council to reduce the risk or manage the high risk. And that's what we need to know, what has been done. So I think it would be good for the table to be slightly changed. I agree with my colleague on the arrows, but for those that are high risk, there is an explanation as to what has been done. Even though it's high, what have we done to reduce it manifesting into reality is the key for me.
If I might come on the last point first, please, Chair. So in relation to the high priority risks, the control measure updates is contained in the main body of the report under paragraph 12. So you'd have the table there with the high priority risks and a control measure update from the risk owners to provide an explanation in terms of what they're doing around that particular risk. So that's in the main body of the report. In relation to the points around the arrows, yes, we'll have a relook at the formatting of that. I suppose with that particular the double arrow, it kind of shows that nothing's changed really. You know, it's still remained the same in terms of the risk assessment score. So that's the intention of that, but we can certainly revisit the formatting of that. And in relation to the questions around the subsidiary companies and the risks to do with various businesses, there are separate discussions being held on that in terms of how we can agree an approach in terms of how we can bring that to audit committee. Thank you.
Thank you for that correction. That's really useful. I think even though it's in paragraph 12, it needs to be commented at the end, or you put within the diagram somehow for mitigations go to. Because do you understand what I'm saying? Because I just read that and then I come here. Does that make, we're just enhancing it. So I stand corrected and I apologise, but we just need to link the information. Is that okay?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll look at the
Councillor Javeri Hussain.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming back on the points that I've raised. Well, firstly, with regards to the arrows, yeah, if we could, even if it's no change, just state it clear, because as the chair said, this is obviously a public document. It's going to be available, or it is available, I should say, in the public domain. So, you know, members of the public, i.e. the taxpayer alluder, needs to understand what those arrows mean. But if we don't understand it, then I'm not expecting them to either. So if you can just make it clear, and even if there's no change, just say no change, and that will help. But I think it's the points, either points or percentages, because that gives a clearer indication of what's changing as opposed to arrows, because that's meaningless. And on the second point regarding obviously business interests and stuff, that's just for completeness, because obviously they form part of the council's overall profile, risk appetite, etc. So it's just the purpose of the transparency. We should be including them, but it's good to know that you're already one step ahead and, you know, having those conversations to be, you know, so yeah, look forward to an update in due course. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions or comment on that report? Okay, thank you very much. Comment. So we've reviewed the updated corporate risk register. We're now moving on to agenda item 9. That's on page 47. So if I read out, so we dealt with this at the last meeting, but there was a little hiccup on the process. We didn't follow correctly. So the recommendation, so the purpose of the report is to seek the Audit and Governance Committee's agreement to the advertising process for the recruitment of an independent member to support the committee's elected members in the governance of the council's finance. The recommendation 1, request full council to vary the composition of Audit and Governance Committee to provide for the appointment of an independent member, and accordingly to instruct the monitoring officer to add to Article 8 of Part 2A of the Constitution the following clause in order to give effect to the recommendation of the committee. An independent member who shall not be a member or officer of the council shall, following public advertisement, be appointed by full council to the Audit and Governance Committee. Such independent member shall serve a term of 4 years and may be reappointed. 2.2, agree to the advertising process for the recruitment of an independent member of the Audit and Governance Committee to support elected representatives in the governance of the council's finance. In the paper, we've got the process, we've got the person specification and the job description. So are all in attendance in agreement with the recommendation? Yes, I am. And everybody else? Yeah. Right.
If I can get some sort of in terms of the process, I'm certain that would be reasonably independent. But the skills and the abilities, if you can just elaborate, somebody could elaborate a bit more on that. As any of the other local authorities have done these, and you know, I would strongly support that, but we need to be, you know, mindful of that. The independent person, yes, brilliant, but having the right skill would be more important.
So, Deb, so somebody got their hand up or? Okay, go ahead. John, you can come in.
Oh, right, thank you, Chair. Sorry, yes, indeed, we would be looking for somebody with an interest in local government, preferably with experience somewhere within local government that's got interest in local issues. Not necessarily a qualified accountant, but certainly with relevant experience in the sector, because we want the individual to sit as part of this committee and aid the decision-making process and aid the scrutiny and audit processes that the committee stands for, with an independent hat on. So whilst we've not been absolutely strict on having a CCAB qualification, we would like that, and we would certainly like, and we would be looking for within the recruitment process, relevant experience. We would ask telling questions about their knowledge of local government, particularly Luton, so that we can get the right candidate. That would be my approach.
Councillor Hussain, does that answer your questions or your concerns?
Yeah, it's not so much, you know, too much of concern. My thoughts are that it is enhancement to helping the members to be able to do their job. You know, somebody who does have an outside knowledge, who doesn't have any particular agenda, because even in these committees, some members do have an agenda and they want to make headlines. And my thoughts are, because politics doesn't walk away in this chamber, it's always there. So for that reason, somebody who's pretty, has not political or any other agenda, so that we can be certain that their views are taken in the best interest of people of Luton. After all, we work for them. They have given us this honor to be in here today. And so for that is, we are very mindful of that. We are custodian of public purse. And as such, we mustn't forget that.
John, do you want to come back in at all?
Thank you, Chair. I will. Yes, indeed, Councillor. That's spot on. And I have experience elsewhere of an independent member, and it really does add you that challenge that you don't necessarily get, that the councillor alluded to, of an independent and fresh look at affairs. So it's part of the Redmond review into the adequacy of audit in local government, and I think it's a real step in the right direction. We would be following best practice. It is the right thing to do, and we just needed to have got the processes right, as you said, Chair, earlier. So I'll be taking a report to full council next month to fire the starting gun, and then away we go with a little bit of a hiccup at the beginning, for which I apologise.
Thank you. That's okay. We all sometimes slip up on that. We're only human. None of is. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Councillor Farouk.
No, this will be your first council with you independent candidate, or will be it been done before?
Oh, definitely, yes. It's been done before. At my previous authority, there was an appointment, and it worked quite well. So, in terms of in the general area, I'm not quite sure, but this recommendation is quite clear after the Redmond review. This is what local authorities ought to be doing. So, I would imagine they are up and down the country, but I can certainly vouch for experience in my previous role.
I think as Mr. Councillor Sen already said, is a bit of concern about political side of it. Would the candidate we could be looking for will be totally independent, or will we be partial or something?
I think definitely, Councillor, we would be looking for somebody independent, yes, not a member of the council, not an officer of the council, so that they really can bring that fresh look and independent slant on things to the committee. That's what we'd be looking for.
Thank you, Councillor Javaria Hussain.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you, John, for your first bit, because I was reading through the personal specification, scratching my head about where is the bit about, got to have some experience of local government, because somebody who's had experience in, for instance, audit and financial matters and governance matters in, say, for instance, in a large corporate entity isn't going to be exactly suited if they don't know anything about local government and Luton. So thank you for the first bit, because that clarified that. And I do hope that the job specification, when it does go out, because I can't seem to click on the links, specifies that an interest or some experience in local government is a must, because that's absolutely important. And I think this will add value to the role that we perform here as members of the Audit and Governance Committee. So that's great. Insofar as impartiality is concerned, I'm presuming, there will be standard background checks, etc., and disclosures of interest and stuff. So I think one thing for me would be that political affiliation is, I think, what we're trying to sort of allude to. So if somebody who has a political affiliation with a political party, for example, membership or whatever, I think shouldn't be considered for this, because obviously that would have, to the ordinary person out there on the street, that would fetter any discretion or any advice that individual would so far be giving, because there will be always a conflict of interest. So I think that is something to draw out on when you're going through the interview process and the due diligence background checks, etc. as well. Thank you.
John,
Thank
did
you,
you want to
Councillor.
come back to that at all?
Yes, thank you, Chair. We will take advice from HR on that, but certainly we would be expecting somebody to be completely independent and give us that that independent view towards the committee. Whilst we won't be asking people which political party do you vote for, of course, we will be actually saying, being quite clear about their role in this committee and the fact that they are an independent challenger without a political hat on. So that will be part of the process. Yeah.
Sorry, John, just to clarify, I didn't mean which party they vote for. I meant if they are a member of a political party. So that's what I mean by political affiliation, because whoever you vote for, that's secret ballot. It's between you and God, I suppose. But for me, it's about political affiliation, i.e. if you're a member of a political party. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor. I've got that.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, in the documents on eligibility, it does say independent members should not be active in local or national politics, be a member of a political party or pressure group. So I said that, and I'm sure I and my colleagues will ensure that on governance, that the question is asked and filled in appropriately. We give people to be totally transparent and get it in writing. On that note, we have now come to the end of our meeting. Thank you very much and have a good evening. Thank you all.
Thank you.